Before setting off on your driving test, the examiner will ask you 2 questions about basic car maintenance. These are referred to as the show me and tell me questions, for the somewhat obvious reason that one of the questions requires you to tell the examiner the answer and the other requires you to actually show him the answer. There are only 19 questions in total, so it's easily possible to learn the answers to all of them. If you fail to answer one or both of the questions, you will be given a minor fault. And while this won't actually result in a test fail, it doesn't give a good impression at the start of the test. So I recommend that you work hard on knowing the answers. Several questions require you to open and close the bonnet, so let's start with that. Different models of cars may have different methods of opening the bonnet, so you should check in your car's handbook if it differs from this one. Start by looking in the footwell of your car. There should be a lever here. Here it's on the passenger side, but it could be on the driver's side. Pull it firmly and the bonnet catch will be released. Feel inside the gap and there will be a lever. How you release this will again depend on the model of your car. When you have lifted the bonnet, hold it firmly and push in the retaining rod. Again, how you do this will depend on the model. To close the bonnet, hold it with one hand and release the retaining rod, clipping it back into the holder. Now lower the bonnet to within half a metre or so of the closed position and simply let it drop. Make sure it is firmly closed. And now let's go through each of the questions. Question: open the bonnet, identify where you would check the engine oil level, and tell me how you would check that the engine has sufficient oil. Answer: raise the bonnet as previously shown and point to the oil dipstick. The location will depend on the model of your car. Check the handbook if you're not sure. Tell the examiner how you would check the oil level by parking on level ground, removing the dipstick, wiping it with a clean cloth, reinserting it and removing it again. The oil mark should be between the minimum and maximum markers. Question: open the bonnet, identify where you would check the engine coolant level and tell me how you would check that the engine has the correct level. Answer: raise the bonnet as previously shown and point to the header tank or radiator cap depending on your type of car. Tell the examiner you would top up with the correct coolant as recommended in the handbook to the correct level. And where there are markers, as on this car, the level should not be below the minimum marker or above the maximum marker as shown. Question: identify where the windscreen washer reservoir is and tell me how you would check the windscreen washer level. Answer: check your handbook to locate your washer reservoir. If it is under the bonnet, as here, raise the bonnet as previously shown and point to the reservoir. Now explain how you would check the level. This will vary depending on the model of car, so explain how you will do it with the car you are using on your driving test. Question: open the bonnet, identify where the brake fluid reservoir is, and tell me how you would check that you have a safe level of hydraulic brake fluid. Answer: open the bonnet as explained previously and point to the brake fluid reservoir. Check your handbook if you are not sure where it is. Tell the examiner that the fluid should not be below the minimum marker or above the maximum marker. Question: tell me how you would check that the brake lights are working on this car. Answer: explain to the examiner that you would press the brake pedal, turn around and look at reflections in windows, garage doors or any other reflective surface. Or alternatively, after pressing the pedal, you would ask someone to go to the rear of the vehicle and look. Question: tell me how you would check that the brakes are working before starting a journey. Answer: explain to the examiner that you would press the brake pedal with the engine running. The examiner wants to know how you will know if the brakes are not working properly, so explain that the brakes should not feel spongy or slack. Also, explain the brakes should be tested again as you drive off, and that when doing this the vehicle should not pull to the left or to the right. Question. Tell me where you would find the information for the recommended tyre pressures for this car and how tyre pressures should be checked. Answer. Explain to the examiner you would find the recommended tyre pressures in the manufacturer's guide or handbook, and that some cars also show the pressures on the driver's door post. Explain that you would use a reliable pressure gauge and that you would adjust the pressures when the tyres are cold. Say you would also check the spare and remember to refit the valve caps when finished. Question. Tell me how you would check the tyres to ensure they have sufficient tread depth and that their general condition is safe to use on the road. This is a slightly complicated answer and it may be best to learn it off by heart. Explain there must be no cuts or bulges and there must be a minimum tread depth of 1.6 millimeters across the central 3/4 of the breadth of the tyre, as shown here, and around the whole circumference. In other words, no bald patches at all. It may help you to learn this answer by reading it in the DrivingHelp Show Me Tell Me written lesson on the website. Question. Show me and explain how you would check that the power-assisted steering is working before starting a journey. Answer. Start the engine and apply gentle pressure to the steering wheel as we show here. As you do this, explain to the examiner that if the steering is heavy, the system may not be working properly, and that you expect to feel slight movement as you turn the wheel a little. You can also explain that turning the steering wheel just after moving off will give an immediate indication if the system is working or not. It may help you understand what it feels like when the power steering is not working by trying with the engine turned off. Question. Show me how you would check the headlights and tail lights are working. Answer. Turn on the ignition if necessary and operate the switch to turn on the lights. A light should appear on your dash. Walk around the vehicle with the examiner to check all the lights are working. Remember to turn them off again. It's worth noting the examiner is entitled to cancel the test if any of the lights are not working correctly, so be sure to check them before going to the test. Question. Show me how you would check that the direction indicators are working. Answer. Apply the indicator switch left and walk around the car to check. Then apply the switch right and do the same again. You may prefer to use the hazard warning switch instead, in which case you will only need to walk around the vehicle once, as all the indicator lights will be working. Question. Show me how you would check that the horn is working. Answer. Press the horn. Not rocket science, is it? Question. Show me how you would check the parking brake for excessive wear. Answer. Press on the foot brake and release the handbrake. Pull the handbrake back on again, and as you do so, explain that when you release the button, the lever should secure itself and the lever should not be at the end of its working travel. Question. Tell me how you would make sure your head restraint is correctly adjusted so it provides the best protection in the event of a crash. Answer. Explain the head restraint should be adjusted so the rigid part of the head restraint is at least as high as the eye or top of the ears and as close to the back of the head as is comfortable. Question. Show me how you would clean the windscreen using the windscreen washer and wipers. Answer. Turn the ignition on if necessary and operate the control to wash and wipe the windscreen. Question. Show me how you would set the demister controls to clear all the windows effectively. This should include both front and rear screens. Answer. The answer to this question will very much depend on your model of car, and you should check in the handbook if you are not sure. Set the relevant controls: fan, temperature, air direction, and heated front and rear screens to clear screens and windows. The engine may not need to be started. Question. Show me how you would switch on the rear fog lights and explain when you would use them. Answer. Check your handbook to familiarise yourself beforehand. Operate the relevant switch. Turn on dipped headlights and ignition if necessary. Check the warning light is on. Explain that front and rear fog lights should only be used when visibility is seriously reduced. Leaving fog lights on in clear visibility dazzles other road users, so remember to turn them off after the demonstration. Question. Tell me how you would know if there was a problem with your anti-lock braking system. Answer. A warning light will appear on the dash saying ABS. Show the examiner this. Switch the ignition on and the light will appear for a few moments and should then go out. If it stays on, the system is not working properly. Question. Show me how you switch your headlights from dipped to main beam and explain how you would know the main beam is on whilst you're inside the car. Answer. Operate the relevant switch with the ignition or engine turned on if necessary. When switched on to main beam, there should be a blue warning light on the dash. This should go out when the lights are dipped. Make sure you remember to switch the lights off when you've finished.